Me?
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome to Behind Business Doors. My name is
Woo.
Shiran Fast, and with me is my amazing co-host, the lady that know how to ask the right questions, Noah.
How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
So you always tell me to tell you when the internet is going
Buzzing on
crazy,
something.
exactly, buzzing on something. And there is a very interesting subject right now. It's actually a very interesting and controversial story. So there is a guy that called Mark Longo. He's an Instagram influencer that his account is based on his squirrel pet
Ooh,
and
cute.
and a raccoon pet. Yeah, so he's an American guy from New York, and all of his videos is around his like wild animals videos, like the squirrel, and the fact that they're so cute, so
Oh, I can
friendly, and
imagine.
he involved them in his like lifestyle is so like it's
Does he do
so
tricks and stuff with them?
viral.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So they're so cute. But what happened right now that the New York government or I don't know, the New York
The
state
district.
found out about it, and they came to his place, and they took the raccoon and squirrel, and they end up euthanizing them. So
Ouch.
yeah, that was very harsh, and obviously we can debate forever about if it's okay since
Mm,
it's illegal to have those pets at home, but also they're his family right now,
yeah.
and he based all of his account and lifestyle around them, and they really looks not harmful. But what I really want to talk about today is the fact that this account was his probably main income, and he based his business and his brand around those pets. And right
Mm,
now when
and
they
they're
took
gone.
it,
Yeah.
exactly, right now he end up with nothing. So sometimes and maybe it's harsh to say because right now they're like family, but sometimes when there is a crisis or something that cause your business
Need to
to
pivot
this
quickly.
crisis,
Yeah.
you have to pivot, or what do you do? So what do you think about his story?
Well, I feel sorry for them,
Yeah,
right?
for
Especially
sure.
because it's something you don't predict.
Right.
It's like it's a situation where you had this amazing life with your pets. You maybe know it was illegal to raise them in
Yeah,
as
you
a
took
pet,
the
or
risk,
so you
but
took the
still.
risk, right? Like I would say that he knew there is a risk.
Yeah.
As hard as it is,
Mm-hmm.
there was always a risk because you do something that is basically illegal. At the same time, it's something that bring you, and how many followers did he have?
Oh,
Like
like over 600,000
yeah, so for
followers.
you and like 500,000 people, a lot of
Yeah.
joy. And obviously that's your main income if you have 600,000 followers. And it's interesting because for him it was like, one day someone knock on your door and take your assets, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, if you look at it as a business point of view, there is many situations in our business journeys that we have a quick change in laws, or there is a
Mm.
quick change in there is so many situations where something that you used to have that was regular is
Yeah.
been taken. In his case it's irreplaceable as well,
Exactly.
because it's not like he can bring another squirrel now,
No, because
because
it's already a
everyone know
star.
it's
It's an internet star right
yeah, but
now, and
also
it's
everyone
called
know it's
Peanuts,
illegal, so
and the
he's aware
account
of
called
that. Yeah.
exactly.
So you can't replace the squirrel or the
Yeah.
raccoon. And basically, that guy is facing with a few decisions to make, right? And he need
Mm-hmm.
to think really quickly because he has 600,000 people in his account, which means
Mm-hmm.
that he can either leverage it or he can wrap it up,
Exactly.
right? He can decide that that squirrel was everything that the business
Mm-hmm.
was all about, and now it's no longer the thing. So I can use those skills of becoming an influencer and maybe start a new account and tell everyone that I'm starting to share my life as a person that lost his squirrel.
Oh my god, it's actually a good idea. I'm sure it
Or
will get viral.
you can
But
use that
yeah,
into a movement,
right.
right? You can make a whole non-for-profit to
Mm-hmm.
save the squirrels and be well paid off from that.
Yeah.
So every single crisis you have in the business, you can decide if you want to leverage that as an opportunity or if you want to shut it down, right?
Exactly. But
And
in both cases, you have to adjust, and the sooner the better, right?
It has to be quick.
Exactly. A
Yeah.
very good quote is the fact that not the strongest people survive, but the people that adapt quickly. Exactly.
You know, one of the biggest things that I teach my kids is, well, I always believe that in life, especially now with like the generation of AI,
Yeah.
I need to teach them how to be resilient and how to adapt quickly.
Exactly.
And in every single interaction we have, this is the main two things I constantly focus on. They had themselves, like, you know, be resilient and adapt quickly. You know? Everything is about that, to teach them that skill of adapting quickly, because no matter what they choose in their life, you always need to adapt quickly. Even if
For
you're not a
sure.
business owner, you need to adapt quickly.
Right. We saw that with COVID, right? A lot
Yes.
of businesses failed and they never recovered or overcome this crisis. Although there were many businesses that adapted the
Leverage that,
fact,
yeah.
exactly, adapted the fact that in every crisis we have opportunity.
Yes.
And they went and they adjust their business to online, and they put I don't know, courses online or websites, and everything happened for a reason. And we have to make sure that we're not like closing the doors and, you know, shutting everything down and cry. We can understand the situation and maybe pivot
Leverage
it.
that.
Leverage
Yeah,
that.
and I think it's come down, like I've been in all of those situations, right?
Exactly.
I've been in a time when I needed to restructure my company so we can make a bit more profit in order to take the next step up. I've been in a situation of COVID. I can.
What did you do in COVID? You had like a retail store, isn't it?
Well, back in the day, my business was 80% in store and 20% online. And I will never, ever, ever in my entire life, that was like a big pivot moment for me as a business owner, as a leader, as a person. That first lockdown announcement. It was March 2020.
Wow.
I remember every single thing from that day. Like, seriously, it's like, you know, if we don't have our PTSD, that's it. And I remember standing in the front of my store, and I've seen in that moment probably every single customer we had in the past 25 years of business. Like, seriously, all of them came into the store in one time. Like, the news were up. I remember driving in the car to the store, and I heard that because of the case of COVID-19 in Australia, all the businesses closing down.
Wow.
So I need to make a decision while I'm driving to work. What am I going to do when I'm rocking up? And I remember the team all arriving to work, and they all look at me, you know, looking for the answers.
Yeah. What's going on?
I didn't know
What
how
do
to
we
do that yet.
Give us
I just see the
decisions.
news, you know, like it's not
Yeah.
like someone telling the business owners what to do, right? You need to make your own decision from the
Exactly.
information that you have available at the time. And I remember thinking to myself, holy crap. So first thing I need to do, and in those situations, I'm usually very calm and very sharp.
Okay.
And in
very
other
good.
situations where business is as usual, I'm exactly the opposite. Like I take my time with everything. But on those moments, I know what to do. Put me in crisis, and I love those moments.
Okay, I know that now.
It's like in our intro, the water fell down. I was like, yeah. So anyway, I remember that what I was doing is first of all making sure that my team feels safe to open the doors and everything going to work fine. So we set up a few things around to create a bit of barrier and distance and follow the government rules. And I remember looking at all the amount of people that came into the store to buy. It was like toilet paper crisis, but that was on every single product on my shelf.
Oh my God.
And I remember looking at all of it and thinking to myself, holy crap, we just sold every single item in this store
Insane.
online.
Insane.
Like on marketplaces, on the website. It's like in the moment that they announced lockdown, every single gardener around Australia decided to buy things and stock up like toilet paper in case they don't have something to feed their
They
plants.
was overwhelmed more than you.
And I remember I was looking at the dashboard of like all the things that we sold online, and I can see that the team in store is like, they know we can't sell that because it's already been sold online. And I just said, fix the people in store. I will deal with the online. We don't address online orders.
Yeah.
We're just fixing the urgent, you know, what is in front of us.
Right.
And then I said to them, you all know what to do. I'm going into my room and I'm going to lock myself there for a few hours to figure out how we're moving forward, right? And the good thing about my team is that they knew I addressed their needs. They all feel safe, right? There is no COVID germs pass for them. The customer is going to be addressed so they don't need to deal with customers that, oh no, that's been sold for online and have these arguments because everyone is in a very rational state. if someone order online, he know there is delivery time, they can
Yeah.
wait. I locked myself in the room and I was like looking at my so all of my room used to be whiteboard, like all the walls,
Yeah.
because I like writing things. And I remember looking at my white walls and thinking, okay, what do I need to do? And then I look at my desk and I had this amazing printed 3-year plan I had prepared.
no.
It took me a
The
few months.
3-year plan.
I had these 3-year goals, plans, like, where we heading, how we moving the company into being like a franchise. And I remember looking at it, thinking to myself, okay, Shiran, this is all irrelevant. And I just took it and I still remember the noise of the crunching of the paper and how I felt so bad because I worked so hard for it. And I just put it in the bin.
Yeah.
And thinking to myself, okay, how do I start?
New plan, new strategy.
Vision, mission, value is
Oh.
my go-to. What is my company exist for? Right? And I wrote it back like on all the wall big. And I said, what do I have now? And where are we heading? And I remember I spent probably an hour on news around the world to see how all the countries are going to deal with it. And the main thing I saw is, okay, so I had a retail store with 20% online. At the moment, I have a situation that is exactly the opposite. It's like my business flipped overnight to be 80% online, 20% in store.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't lost my in-store customers, but the online customers it just blew up. And I need to make a decision on so many different areas, right? Like, so what I started is get the information. And then I can make a decision how to pivot, right? So I'm assuming that squirrel guy, you need to think,
Right.
okay, so I don't have a squirrel. My account is going to be like irrelevant in
I think it's
48 hours.
for sure. And I think it's very interesting also because us as business owners, we usually get emotionally attached to our business. So sometimes when a crisis like that happen or someone shut down your income, it's really hard to pivot and to say like you said to take like a break and just like to throw away the plan, right? It's take a lot of process. And what I
Yes.
took from your story is also to take all of the information
Fast, you have
to go back to your funnel and to understand why am I here? What's the mission for my business? And then also what you mentioned between your words is to see what other businesses are doing.
Yes.
Because sometimes people forget that in many crises, even if it's
temporary.
like personal crisis or a worldwide one, people had something similar before or something at the same time, so you can watch and learn what they're doing and do on the way.
And many businesses think, with COVID, that was a new thing. But the reality, it wasn't. There were so many other pandemics in the past. And I actually went all the way back and I looked at the Spanish flu and what happened.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay, so you can actually Google it and see the graphs.
Yeah.
And you will see what happened when we had the Spanish flu, the wine flu, all of these different flus that coming out in crisis, HIV. And you can see how it's impacted economically.
Definitely.
The only difference that we had now is that people had the ability to work from home because of the internet. Right. So I realized really quickly that the concept of buying from stores may not last for long. Like everyone going to move to online. And as a small business, you don't have the resources to invest in both.
Yeah.
And I also realized in that moment that I can't service both my online and in-store customers at the same time. Because physically, I have no ability to do that.
Right.
And one thing I also realized that all the borders are shutting down, which means that all the stock are coming from overseas, which is like 95% of our stock.
Wow.
Is going to not come. So if my business purpose and for me to keep sustainable business is to buy as much stock as I can, the quickest I can, in order to have something to sell.
Right.
And the only way I can accommodate for all of that stock is if I shut down the store and I just put pallets on pallets in between the aisles of all the retail store and I don't open the retail store again.
Wow.
So I said, Chris back in the day, my husband, he was the purchasing manager. I said to him, I don't care how much money we have. You now buy every single product times 10 or 15 times our minimum stock level.
Wow, it's a huge
and you
risk.
it was huge.
Huge.
And I was like, you just buy everything. Everything that our suppliers have, you just buy. It paid off big time because we were one of the only stores that had stock. Because once the supplier stock has been finished, they had massive delays. They couldn't get stock into the country.
Oh.
So we had the stock. We could decide which prices we want. We could decide when we So it was a massive decision to make, but it was paying off big time. And it's tripled my business because I made a decision that I don't care about the retail front because I just need to have stock.
That's
So
another example, actually, for what we talked about at the beginning, how important it is to adapt quickly, right? You just like beat your competitor just by getting like making a decision right away,
yeah.
even if with a lot of risks. Yeah.
Yes, there was a massive risk in that because who knows if that will be just a quick lockdown and not. Saying that, I did made an informed decision because I did took the time, at least an hour or two, to look at the news, to see what's happening, to see how
Yeah.
the leaders making decision, how people getting stressed from it from a government level, to understand
Right.
that this is going to be a very long lockdown.
Wow.
And the reality was that I could actually keep my store open because we were technically essential. We were selling a lot of goods for farmers as well, which put us in a category that we can be essential and we can open our
Incredible.
doors. But we made a decision not to, because the goal was to make sure that all of my customers can have goods. And in order for me to have, if our vision was everyone a successful gardener, that's mean that they need to have something to buy. They can't be stuck without a product. So they don't need necessarily the interaction of getting into the store, but they need to make sure that I can give them the product if they need it from the outside. And that changed my whole business model completely. But I will go back to the squirrel example. You can also make it so that guy can take it to the to the position of, I will leverage the publicity, and I will try and pivot the business into more activism, or I don't actually know what he does, but I'm sure that he leverages that channel somehow. He can make a range of product in memory of squirrel and raccoon. He can do lots of different things because he have the audience. Or he can also make a decision that he doesn't want to do anything with it and just shut it down, which I had the experience to do that as well. So in every single crisis, which is now we are in a very big financial crisis, right? The cost of living has risen up. And I made a decision almost a year ago that this crisis I'm not going to see. So that crisis, and we can talk about a different episode of how you make a decision that is so final and is so emotional. But I made a decision that in this fight, I'm not fighting. And I can cover of the decision-making process of that one, but it's okay to also make that decision, because it's all come down to not just the business, but also you as the leader of the business and what is your aspirations in life. And in sometimes the business doesn't take you to the same location, and you need to know when to cut the ties as well, which for me was a massive learning process, and understanding that not every fight you need to fight. So Mr. Squirrel, I forgot his name, I'm sorry.
Peanut.
He can make it. Peanut. He can make a decision. Well, no, the owner. What's his name?
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah.
So he can make a decision that, it was a perfect ride. I enjoyed that so much, and now I'll go and do something else with my life.
For sure. I think like in there is like a popular situation where you face a crisis and you want to complain and you want to say, oh, that's so annoying that they made it to me and that happened to me, and why everyone is hurting me or trying to fight me, instead of just taking this situation, which is hard, and leverage it. Exactly.
I think in every single crisis we have, there is an opportunity to take.
For sure.
Every single challenge you have, there's an opportunity to take. You can decide if to take it or not. But you can always look backwards. And what I love is about everything that we do in life, sometimes, as hard as it is, sometimes we look at it and for me, it's 3 years backwards. Some people it's quicker, but I look at it 3 years backwards and think, whoa, this was actually a good thing. And it's funny how, if you listen to a lot of these motivational speakers, they will always say how that moment in life where they were the low of the low of the low, this is what brought them to this position.
Exactly. Because just in the end, you connect the dots and you understand that what brought you to.
Correct. And you always reach that conclusion once you go through over the emotional part, and you realize that that was actually a big blessing in a way. Or when you start to realize that every challenge that come in your way, and I seriously mean every challenge. There is a lot of friends of mine that do trauma therapy and stuff like that, and they always say not everything is a blessing. And I would agree, there is some horrible stuff in life, but I even had a few of those events in my life, and I look at them still as a blessing. Because without that, I would not be as resilient. Without that, I would not be. I always look at the positive in every single challenge I have, or every single bad situation I have in my life. It doesn't happen always immediately. Sometimes it's in hindsight, but that's the principle, right? You look for these opportunities all the time. So in some of them I decide to leverage, and some of them you decide to not. And that's completely fine. As long as you make an informed decision, it wasn't just emotional crisis.
I like that. You know, when I was a teenager, they gave us a book with the mouse and the cheese. What's his name, Roy? The name of the book?
Mouse and the cheese?
Yeah. Who?
No,
Anyway,
Home of My Cheese.
yes.
Yeah, that's a very popular
that?
marketing book. Yeah, or
A
business
marketing book. I think it's an inspiration life book.
Ah,
Yeah,
Home of
Who
My
Moved
Cheese,
My
yeah.
Cheese, exactly. And I think it's connected to,
I didn't know there is a kids version.
of course,
I only knew the. Yeah. Okay.
you should show that to your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back then I
should read it
realized the message, but now I see how important it is. Like, as human being, we always like to complain, and we always like to be,
'Cause it's
the
easier.
one. It's easier, right? They ate us and they said some stuff about us, and that's what make us in those struggles. So try to disconnect the emotion from the business and just like move forward.
Yeah, and I think another good example that I always felt like I am the business, right? Like the business is an extension of me, and today I know that you have you and you have the business, and you should build a business that can be there without you, and that's what make a good business, right? But I think the emotional we have that, I am the business.
Exactly. I'm the brand, or I'm the CEO,
yeah.
or I'm in charge.
And if you look at the squirrel example again, to kind of connect it to the story back, it's like the squirrel was the business, but he have now the opportunity to leverage it and use it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Or not to.
And to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's exactly.
Which is okay sometimes.
Yeah. Of course, it's okay.
Overcome.
But he can detach the squirrel from the business. He can do that if he wanted to. Right. I don't know what direction he will take, and I'm actually going to follow to see.
Yeah, exactly.
But the reality is that now we have a very limited time frame to decide what he does, and mixing that with grief, I think it's going to be very challenging for him. But you can leverage it, or you can wind it down. Yeah.
Especially now when all the internet is like facing what he's going to do and what he's going to say. Yeah. And it's very interesting.
Yeah, we should link him on the bottom for everyone that doesn't know, like
for
me.
Sure.
I don't really spend my time watching squirrels on Instagram.
No, I love to see those trends because it shows what people really care about, or how, the simple things, just like a random situation, could go so viral because of, its intervention of
many things. The fact that
people can resonate even with this like crazy story.
Yeah. Well, and I'm one of the persons that's just waiting for you to share a viral video. That's why I like my friends. They always send me viral videos like on WhatsApp and stuff. Like, that's when I don't need to scroll it.
Thank you, Shiran. That was so interesting. Guys, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next week.
See ya. Bye. High five.